Let's just get this out of the way now. Yes, Nvidia's new GTX 980 is the fastest single GPU graphics card we've ever tested here at GameSpot. But that fact alone doesn't tell the whole story about this shiny new piece of gaming hardware. Just don't ask what happened to the 8 series. For starters, while it might be the fastest GPU we've ever tested, don't expect a huge generational leap in performance here. The GTX 980 with 4GB of GDDR5 memory performs just a wee bit better in games than the previous single GPU leader, the GTX 780 Ti, even if it does wipe the floor with the likes of AMD's R9 290X. Those hoping for smooth 4K gaming from a single GPU will have to wait just a little bit longer. The real gain with the GTX 980 comes from its power-efficient Maxwell architecture, which debuted in the GTX 750 Ti earlier this year. The card drops down to two 6-pin power connectors and lowers its TDP from the 250 watts of the 780 Ti to just 165 watts. So why is that important? Less wattage means the card generates less heat, which in turn means it needs less cooling, which makes for a quieter rig all round. And if you're running multiple cards in SLI, it'll help with reducing that electricity bill a little too. The 980's performance at such a low wattage is impressive, and in my testing with a card featuring Nvidia's excellent reference cooler, I found it one of the quietest I've ever tested. That low wattage and heat means the GPU can easily hold its turbo boost speed of 1216 MHz too, which makes for consistent performance in games. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that boost clock is significantly faster than the 928 MHz of the 780 Ti. Nvidia's power-efficient Maxwell architecture means that there are less CUDA cores on board than with its previous generation architecture Kepler, while memory bandwidth also takes a hit thanks to a slimmer 256 memory bandwidth. Nvidia claims its addition of a larger 2MB of cache means fewer requests to the GPU's DRAM are needed though, and in testing the 980 still came out on top in every test, even if it was only a few frames per second ahead of the 780 Ti. On the output side, the reference board comes with one DVI port, one HDMI 2.0 port, and 3 full-size display ports. There's also hardware support for Nvidia's new GameWorks tech, including VXGI, its new voxel global illumination engine that uses cone tracing to create some pretty realistic lighting effects. Support for VXGI is coming to third-party engines like Unreal, but the jury's still out on whether the likes of the PS4 and Xbox One have the computational chops to make it work. With consoles still the lead platform for many games, don't expect to see much of VXGI unless the consoles pick it up. Other features include dynamic super resolution, which essentially renders a game at 4K and downsamples it to 1080p using a 13-tap Gaussian filter. The feature works with most games thanks to its integration into GeForce Experience, and the results are impressive, but there's a similar performance hit to running the game at native 4K. Finally, there's MFAA, which is a new type of anti-aliasing that promises the quality of 4x MSAA at the performance cost of 2x MSAA by using alternating anti-aliasing sample patterns. Unfortunately, we couldn't test the feature out, but it looks impressive in demos, and Nvidia promises support is coming to a range of games after launch. But just how much will all that sweet tech set you back? The GTX 980 is set to retail at $549 in the US and £429 in the UK. That's not bad, but it is quite a bit pricier than AMD's R9 290X. It's certainly the better GPU of the two though. Another card based on the same Maxwell GM204 chip in the 980 is the 970, which features fewer CUDA cores and a slower clock speed, but will be available for a more palatable $329 or £259. We'll hopefully have a review of that card up for you soon. The likes of the GTX 780 Ti, 780 and 770 are being discontinued, so you might be able to pick up a bargain as retailers clear stock. I'd take the 980 in a heartbeat if I were building a new system though. It's a fast, elegantly designed GPU, and that low wattage is mighty appealing, even more so for a small form factor build. The GTX 980 might not be a generational leap in performance, but it's certainly a generational leap in power efficiency. And just think, if Nvidia can do this with 165 watt TDP, if it ups the power with future cards, we might just get that generational leap in performance somewhere along the line too.